Right, we've got here Lucy Wynne Jones. All right, Lucy,
Okay. Can you hear me?
Assalamu alaikum. We
Wa
can
alaikum
indeed,
assalam
loud
wa
and
barakatuh.
clear. All
Okay, I just
right.
know like once I was on a Zoom meeting on this computer and I know like I needed to adjust the volume so I could be heard. So
No, we
yeah.
can hear you. You're doing
So
it. Look at that. The gamer headset, gamer settings are right there.
yeah, here's an old atlas I'd like to show you. The
The
World
World
Pocket.
Pocket Atlas. Okay.
Yeah,
Right,
I'd
sure.
like to yeah, I'm just opening it up to show you when it dates back to and a few pages from it. So
Okay, sure.
it dates back to 1944.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know
I've
like
got a feeling
when
this is like some research is about to just be kind of absolutely unveiled to the world in a moment. So, what's the research, Lucy? What have you been
okay.
reading?
Well, I can show you two controversial topics, both on the issue of countries coming and going, countries splitting, like Allahu Malakul Mulk, and yeah, and I know like it. I've got here the example of just Palestine being on the map, no Israel.
Oh,
So
yeah, yes, from 1944. Yes,
yeah, so this was
mm.
like before the Nakba, before all those
Yeah, before the
events.
Nakba. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and here's a few other countries. I'm trying to get it near the camera.
That's
It
like
says
Saudi. I can see
it
Saudi,
doesn't
and
say Saudi Arabia. It just says
it just
Arabia,
says Arabia. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it
and
just says
Yemen's
Arabia.
in orange down south.
Oh, yes, of
And
course, because it's from the 40s, of course. Yes. Mhm.
yeah, and the map looks very different than it does today.
Yes, of
And
course.
Qatar was probably not even a country.
No, it would. Yeah, yeah, it wouldn't be. Neither would the other, because this is a lot of this is nationalization of the states, isn't it? Of those
Mm-hmm.
which happened during the late 40s and some 50s actually. Yeah,
Yeah, and also here's the Indian subcontinent,
in the
which
end, yep,
includes
Pakistan wouldn't
modern
have. Yeah, it wouldn't have existed
Pakistan's not on the map,
till 1947. So yeah,
and it just
not.
shows this. Sorry.
Yeah, no, neither would Bangladesh be there. So this would be very. This is just after the colonial, or at this stage, I guess they still are about to leave India. They haven't really left, but yeah.
Yeah, and I
Hmm.
know like on the issue of the map, I know like where after my grandfather died, I was quick to seize it because I noticed like I did not want it to go away or something. It could be very valuable information, and I found
Sure,
in there like on the map some. Yeah,
sure.
I know like
Sure,
the
just to understand, Lucy, what so because that this is the phenomenon being that this is it's very interesting that these maps that you've got are from that time, or was there a different point you were trying to make as well?
I know like
Or you're just showing it as this is the map from that time, and it's which is interesting, obviously, because in one sense it's not so far away. It's just several decades, but then it's still radically different. This was the point, or was there
yeah,
something else as well?
and also I know like another point I'd like to make is that I know that I was quoting from the Quran there when I was saying like Allahu Malakul Mulk, and
Okay,
I
Allahu Malikul Mulk. Yes, of course. Okay, yeah. So
yeah,
Allah is the
and
of of sovereign kind of domain and
mhm.
kingdoms. It really all belongs to God.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and it's just like I know like I know like I pretty much learned when I decided to become Muslim and wasn't really involved with the community much. I pretty much
Okay.
learnt my Islam off just watching stuff on the internet, which was probably not the best way because you can go down internet rabbit holes where you're just
Yeah.
where you're just hearing things with the same perspective. You never get to talk to people with different perspectives. I know like
Yeah.
I think his name's Paul Williams of Blogging Theology on YouTube.
Right. Yes, I have. I've come across his thing as well. Yeah.
Yeah, he talks to people even across different faiths and across different backgrounds. But yeah, there's that thing about internet rabbit holes and stuff. But it's just like the point I'd like to make is like
Mhm.
I think I know like this is probably more about theology and stuff, and maybe you can answer these questions, but it's just like I've seen disturbing stuff with regards to pan-Islamists being like the Donald Trumps of the Muslim world. Like I remember once debating one of them by saying, are you not satisfied? Like I told them that the Prophet ﷺ once said that to one of his companions who complained, oh, why are the Muslims not great? Why aren't we super wealthy like Persia? Why don't we have what the Byzantines and Persians have, or the Romans and Persians, however you use the language? And I replied, and quoting that hadith, I replied that that the Prophet ﷺ said to his companion, are you not satisfied that they have the dunya but we have the akhirah? And I know like this pan-Islamist kind of person I was talking to, I can't reveal their identity to, and I'm using the term they and them to keep their identity even more anonymous. They were like, oh, isn't there a dua, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirah hasana wa qina adhabun nar? And I was just thinking, like, well, it's just like I've also come up with a theory recently that I believe Islam as a religion is fundamentally incompatible with ideologies that believe in bad politics, or believe like in the concept of because like
Islam,
Islam
that Islam basically isn't a political ideology. That's I take it. If I was to sum up what you were saying, that it isn't something about trying to control the world or run the world, and it's not about that kind of. It's not after this kind of domination, global domination, and that even if that is some people, they may think that, but really this is not the message of the Quran or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah, I think that's wonderful for you to echo that, because it's so true. And you do get people that get caught up in things, and people can, they can present verses of the Quran to misrepresent. And maybe, the thing is this, look, maybe people, I think one of the greater realizations I've had of recent past is that I think maybe it's not even, because we often say people are saying things to mislead people. I think, and this is especially of recent past, like I actually come to realize that many people, it's not that they're trying to mislead, like they, in their way, this is what is true to them. Now, it's just that it's not, unfortunately, it's not the objective truth. It's just their truth. Like, so to them, they may be very sincere, and maybe actually even coming from a place, many of them may be coming from a place of love for the deen. So they may be thinking, look, we don't want to rule the world because we hate people, but we want to rule the world because this is really what Allah wants us to do. So they may be coming from a place, like I watched this interview where there was I think it was a Saudi interview many years back. It's still on YouTube, where the person is being asked, actually, no, I'm not sure if it was Saudi, but it's an interview where one of the people is that's being interviewed he's clearly an extremist, clearly, like he's like either ISIS or that kind of same league, but he's very calm and composed, and he's not like shouting, and he's discussing. And the interviewer asks him that, look, he says that I can't remember what he frames it around, but he says, look, if I, like, basically, if I'm, let's say, X, this person, would you kill me? And he says very calmly, like amidst the interview, he says yes, he says, I would just kill you. And he says, and the guy says, whoa. He says, what, you would kill me? Like, he says, because a moment before they're like kind of very friendly. And he says, you'd actually like slit my throat and kill me. You would actually do that. I mean, I thought and that guy, in this sense of composure, he's not kind of like huffing and puffing. He's very calm. And he says, look, he says, I wouldn't do it because out of a thirst for blood. He says, I would just do it because this is what God wants me to do. And I wouldn't be happy doing it, but I would do it because I feel this is what God ordains. And you see, that answers the thing. You see, it's psychologically it's warped. It's not that a lot of these people may be coming in their twisted way from a place of love, but it's they've got it wrong. And this isn't how the Quran is meant to be read. So they're taking some of these things and reading. And you're right, for a person to go onto YouTube or to go onto Google, and you could read, and somebody could say, look, there's a verse of the Quran saying, kill all the kuffar. And somebody could, I'm just saying, they take a verse like of the Quran out of context and say, look, oh my God, it's saying this, and this is what this is a message from God.
The reason I was giggling there is because Sheikh Hamza Yusuf said, also the Quran says, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ, woe unto those who pray.
Yeah.
So does that mean we don't perform
Exactly.
our salah? So,
exactly. The Quran says,
so
it's
like
doomed are the people who pray.
So it's like, are we going to suddenly start banning places of worship and becoming atheists? No, it doesn't mean that.
Yeah. I think that's an amazing, honestly. I'm glad you mentioned that, because it just shows how taking a snippet, and in fact, to be fair, Fawailul lil Musallin is an actual ayah. It's within a very short surah of short ayat, but it's an ayah. And people taking even one ayah, somebody could say, no, but that's an exact ayah, but taking even an exact ayah out of its context can so kind of completely displace its meaning. So if musallin doesn't just mean to make a normal prayer like dua, it means to offer salah. So doomed are the people who offer salah. So it's I'm really glad you mentioned
الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون. So it's about, in the context, it's about people who are insincere, and it was revealed in the time of a Jahili society, whereby they would shun the yatim, the orphans, and they would do those sorts of things. And that verse about kill them wherever you find them, that's in the context of battle. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean anything silly like that. So that's how to
absolutely and that. This thing about Surah Ma'un, it's in many ways like an extension of the Samaritan narrative and parable from the Gospels, because you see, you have what it's saying, that people who deny and people who do this, but you will encounter, just as the Sadducee and the Pharisee, these people, they walk past this person who is completely distraught and on the way, but nobody helps him. But you see, one of them is a priest who has to see to prayers, so he can't help someone. And it's the same thing here. It's saying, look, wailul lil musallin. Yes, it does say on salatim sahun alladhina hum yura'un, but it ends with the actual the key reason, the crowning is وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ. See, these people, they refuse to offer homely assistance. And ma'un it could have been as little as things like pots and pans and cutlery, which are basically home utilities. That's what ma'un just means, home utilities. People would refuse to, why should I help them give? And it's not even, when you think about it, it's like saying, okay, but look how it's brought into perspective that, what, if they think they're so righteous that, okay, I don't help anybody, but look at me, I do my prayers though, then what kind of a prayer is that? If you're not helping, you're not feeding the yatim, you're shunning them, you're not feeding the poor person. لا يحض على طعام المسكين. And you're not even helping people, your neighbors. You're not even helping them with home utilities. Like, what kind of an insan are you? So it's honestly, it's one of my most favorite surahs, in it being so short and rapid, because when it starts, it's an absolute, it has like this volta, because it starts off أَرَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ, that do you see the person who denies this whole the reckoning, and you think فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم is the person who kind of shuns the ولا يحض على طعام المسكين, and it's all this build up, and you think Allah will say فويل للظالمين. So what doomed are the oppressive, or doomed are the transgressors, or doomed are the, let's say it's going to say those who disbelieve in doing good, doomed are they, or doomed are those who the fasiqeen, or doomed are the kadhibeen, but no, it says, and this is the volta, the kind of twist that it says fawailun lil musallin, doomed are the people who pray. And you think, what? Where did that even come from? So this is why it's actually so fascinating.
Could this surah even be in the context of modern day, where I know two people with profound disabilities, and I know without mentioning any names, one of them feels guilty at times for claiming benefits and stuff, because people will say, oh, I don't want to pay for you kind of stuff. And could that surah Ma'un be...
Did you say the two people who have disabilities?
Yeah, they've got disabilities, and I know some people will shun them for being on benefits and stuff, even though they much need it. And I'm thinking that it's their right to have it, because I know in Islam, if somebody has a profound disability and the state's able to pay for them, then that gets covered by the state.
Of course, it's not. Look, this is a fundamental human right. In Islam, the whole concept of the community was that it takes care of the sick, it takes care of the elderly, it takes care of the weak, it protects the weak, it feeds the hungry, and it shelters those who need refuge. Now, this on a greater scale is then projected in a modern setting, this community setting is projected onto the state, which is obviously a modern notion in that sense. But these teachings are in Islam, and it is an entitlement. It's something that they have a right to be protected. They have a right to be, and a person with a disability, first of all, may Allah make things easy for them. And anybody and everybody that is suffering with any kind of disability, and some are more apparent than others. It's sometimes they're not so apparent, their disabilities, but anybody trying to make them feel bad is that person needs to be checked for some kind of pathology, psychological pathology, because what the hell are they like? How could you even do that? That's like, yeah, honestly, in fact, it's fascinating. We were, in last month's book review, we covered about the bonobo chimps, and it was interesting that even in a monkey society, they found that where there was one of the chimps who had Down syndrome. So what the tribe, that chimpanzee or that monkey that had Down syndrome, could get away with stuff. Like, they wouldn't take it to task. So the other monkeys wouldn't, like, if it did things that other monkeys did, would be, let's say, beaten or whatever, they wouldn't. And it could take food before other monkeys did. It could, like, they had this allowance and recognition that this monkey has Down syndrome. So, or it has something, obviously some kind of issue with it. And they, as a tribe, they gave a concession for that. And I found that so, wallahi, so beautifully kind of like just reminiscent of, like, in the verses reminding us that, look, even when you look at creatures, umamun amthalukum, are these not also like nations in many ways like you that you can take examples from?
Subhanallah. Yeah, I know one person with Down syndrome. I don't wish to disclose too much about them, but they're very happy because their mum's always making dua for them to be happy. So I believe, like, people with Down syndrome, their life is worth living because it's possible for them to be happy. And
can I just say that I feel that, I feel, Allahu A'lam, that they often are happy. You look at them and they are so happy. And because they don't, you see, obviously life is different, and maybe in many ways it's simpler. People may say this, but you can see that the true happiness in when they do things, and they're like really, it's like people may say, oh, that, oh, they don't have certain but it's like with in that kind of that childlike happiness is seen with them. Is it not?
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
wherever I've kind of encountered it, I've seen it, and it's like, wow, like they are truly happy. May Allah bless them. I mean, wherever they are.
I mean,
Um,
yeah. And also, this is off topic from other stuff we were just talking about, like we've talked about quite a few topics. I recently read or came across a hieroglyphic dictionary, and this is the ancient Egyptian language for the audience. And
yeah.
it was saying like, and I was reminded of a verse in Surah Taha where Musa alayhi salam makes the dua for Allah to loosen the knot of his
واحلل
tongue.
عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Yeah.
Yeah, in the ancient Egyptian language, which would probably be similar to the language that Prophet Musa alayhi salam was speaking, that also means remove. So, and it's understood in the tafsir that and the even the English interpretation. Well, I've got an English interpretation as well as the bits of the Arabic original Quran here with vowels and stuff. That was understood to mean remove that knot, so, or loosen it, because it was because that's probably how the ancient Egyptians understood, like removing their horses from being tied up, or camels if they had any. I think they did have horses in ancient Egypt. I'm unsure about whether or not they had camels, but ancient Egypt
camels are domesticated, I think, later. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know, like, I do have not that I might be able to show you other stuff, but I do have a I'm trying to dig it out just to show you. I'm not doing this to brag or anything, but just because I was talking about the issue of hieroglyphs, I do have a formal qualification in hieroglyphs.
In hieroglyphs. Wow. Okay, Lucy, you're doing it, man. You're doing it. Can you read them with reasonable ease? Or?
I can read some of them. I'm not fluent in them, and I know that the course did not teach me how to do it fluently, but I can read, like, I probably can read maybe about 20% of the symbols. So I know, like, most of the symbols in hieroglyphs is what's called determinatives or ideograms. These come at the end of the word and indicate what the word means. So it's like in Arabic, you have the triliteral symbol where there's 3 letters make up a word. And I know, like, in ancient Arabic, it was similar to that. So they did have, as you were saying, and I know, like, Paul Williams said like they had ideograms in early Arabic scripts, so they did have. So
I mean, they're probably in some of the others, maybe the other Arabic, not the Arabic we have today, but the maybe Southern Arabic, what was called Khatt al-Musnad. So, but yeah, it's so fascinating, and that is incredibly interesting. You know, the part I didn't, when you said, was the point about Moses and the tongue, were you saying that was like an old Egyptian idiom? Is that what you were saying?
It means that loosen means the same as remove, so it probably was the same.
Okay, but what was the outcome? Like, why? Just to be clear, I didn't fully understand. Why were you mentioning how was that tying in? Was there something about that message?
I'm just trying to find. Okay, if I may screen share.
Okay, look at this. Yeah. Go on. Go for it. Let's.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, I can screen share now. Here's the
Okay, so let me add this to. Is that how this is the first time we're doing screen share on this, people? So this is how it works. Let me share this with you.
Yeah, it's also an Ubuntu computer, so it's quite advanced. So, it's different than a Windows computer. An Ubuntu computer I can do all sorts with, or the Ubuntu is more quick at doing websites, which is what I specialize in.
You design websites?
Yeah, I can do websites.
Serious? Yeah. Okay, you know what? We should lean in on your expertise. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
we'll be in touch with somebody and we'll connect, and because we're thinking of fixing up some websites.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see. It was. I think it was IF something. Where is it? Lucen. Oh, it's not. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, it's somewhere in this document. Do
Like
you want me?
I don't get what, like, what's no what are we, what's the purpose of this? What's going on? Like, you're trying to say, what are you trying to do? You're trying to show that it was a classic Islamic viewpoint as well. Is that, oh, sorry, an Egyptian idiom, like that's how they spoke? Or you're saying this was also found in a hieroglyph?
Ah, a similar kind of expression is it was understood in hieroglyphs.
Ah, right. Okay, so they had an expression in hieroglyphs, which is not obviously Moses saying it. It's just amongst the pharaohs.
Yeah,
They would use that. Ah,
yeah.
right. Okay, that's
The
epic.
ancient Egyptians
And
believed
they would
that
use it to mean what?
to mean the same as remove or like remove something. So
Like, yeah, to unbind the knot. But would they use it with the word tongue, like it's used in with tongue? Like they would say, is that exact same phrase found in hieroglyphics? That would be really fascinating.
I think that would be an interesting research project.
Oh, okay, so it's not.
Yeah, I'm not an Egyptologist yet. I'm
Okay,
focusing on doing my
but you're saying, but
websites at
it's
the
got just
moment.
unbind a knot. It's got that part of the phrase in.
Oh, it's
Okay,
got the term knot and or
to
loosen, which
unbind it,
is
yeah,
to
to
do with
loosen it, yeah. Wahlul
unbinding
uqdah.
and loose.
Yeah, okay, epic, epic. I get it now, because I thought you were saying that maybe they'd found the exact phrase, but being said by pharaohs to someone, and I thought, oh, that would be really fascinating. But this is still
And
fascinating as well.
also the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, they are the ancient Egyptians believed these to be the words of their deities, and that's why they had a special class of scribes who would
Sure.
write out, who would carve the hieroglyphs or write it down, because and they did have other scripts, like not just the hieroglyphs, they also had hieratic and
Yeah,
demotic.
hieroglyphics. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
they did. Yeah.
demotics found on the Rosetta Stone, and later
Okay. What's
ancient
it?
Egyptian
Okay.
developed into modern day into Coptic, which is the liturgical language of the Coptic Church.
Wow. Okay. Very. I have to say, this is really fascinating. It's quite an area which not often accessed to by most people. So you do have some very peculiar and interesting interests, or areas of academia. So shukran, Lucy, for sharing that.
You're
And
welcome.
I think it's, yep. So what? So shukran once again. And you're, where are you joining us from? Wales, is it?
Oh no, I'm actually joining from Hampshire.
Oh,
I
Hampshire.
can
Okay.
speak in a Welsh accent though, so I can easily
Okay.
trick
Okay.
people that I'm
Did
in
you
Wales when actually
did
I'm not.
did you previously say you were from Wales or something about Wales? Did you say that?
Oh, I know like I have Welsh ancestry on my dad's side, and some
Okay, maybe
I
you
previously
mentioned that in
said
a
stuff about
previous thing, because I'm
I
thinking,
previous
why did I think Wales? Okay,
it's
that's
because I've got a
possible.
very Welsh surname.
Ah,
So
is
that
it that? Ah, right. Okay, maybe, because I'm thinking, why did I unconsciously think Wales? But sure, shukran once again, Lucy. I appreciate. I think that's some amazing food for thought, people, and do join us again. So shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, people. That was Lucy Wynne Jones from Hampshire. Some very diverse topics there, from ranging from Egyptology to with hieroglyphs to cartography and maps and things like that, and other things in between.